Hello, it's Magsy Moyer and welcome to this week's playlist, Diana Ross Collaborations. This playlist is a collection of 20 tracks featuring Diana Ross singing with other artists and bands, from fellow Motown act The Temptations to Rod Stewart, Ray Charles and Sade. I've always enjoyed listening to Diana Ross, from her early days as lead singer with the Supremes right through to her Love Hangover remix in 2020. There's a sweet but spirited quality to her voice and a vitality about her music and performances which have kept fresh into advancing years. From time to time over her performing decades, we've all seen articles in the media critical of her personality, her behaviour and events in her life. For music lovers, the tedium of media focus on this parallel story is evident in the intro to the web-based Diana Ross project, making clear that it highlights Diana Ross the singer, not the personality and not the diva. Credentials for focusing on her musical output and success are formidable, with 24 studio albums and 116 singles. In America, 6 of her singles reached number 1, tying her 5th among female solo performers for the top spot. In the UK, she sang lead on a top 75 single at least once every year from 1964 to 1996. That's 32 consecutive years and the record for any performer. She's amongst a revered collection of artists with releases spending more than 1,000 weeks in the UK charts, where her singles have spent nearly 11 years and her albums 12 years. And in the meantime, what of the singer's alleged insensitivities? Well, Diana Ross promised to fund an adventure playground from merchandising at her free concerts in New York City's Central Park. When a thunderstorm washed out sales, she went ahead with the playground regardless, and at her own expense. Today, the centrepiece of the playground is a giant-sized timber fort structure described by users as a park our lovers' dream destination, with a multitude of structures and levels to climb, jump, skip over and scramble along. Tons of fun for kids of all ages. At the start of project event with Major Ed Koch, she called it one of the most fulfilling aspects of my life and career. Not bad for someone sometimes labelled a self-absorbed diva. Chart-topping tracks from prolific artists like Diana Ross are very widely known. This adds interest to lesser-known performances with musicians beyond the usual lineup. More interesting still are collaborations with artists that seem at first glance to be an unlikely vocal match. I've included more and less likely collaborative work in my playlist. The second track, I'm Gonna Make You Love Me, with The Temptations from 1968, takes Diana Ross right back to her singing roots at Cass Technical High School in Detroit. Aged 14, she auditioned unsuccessfully for a part in a school musical, but was instead invited to join a girls' vocal group called the Primettes. The lineup included Florence Ballard and Mary Wilson, future founding members of the Supremes. In an astonishing act of symmetry, the equivalent male group, the Primes, included Paul Williams and Eddie Kendricks, who later formed part of the Motown supergroup The Temptations. After winning an Ontario talent competition in 1960, the Primettes were invited to audition for Motown Records, and the Supremes were born. I thought at first that Rod Stewart would be an unlikely voice match for Diana Ross, but realised very quickly that the two duetting on I've Got a Crush on You, 2005, track 17 on my playlist, was an inspired pairing. The song, composed by George Gershwin with lyrics by his brother Ira, is considered a jazz standard. It's unique amongst Gershwin's compositions by appearing in the score for 2 different Broadway productions, Treasure Girl in 1928 and Strike Up the Band in 1930. Recorded subsequently by Frank Sinatra in 1947, Ella Fitzgerald 1950, Gene Kelly 1951, Bing Crosby 1956, Sammy Davis Jr. in 1958, Linda Ronstadt in 1983, Michael Bublé in 2006 and Brian Wilson in 2010. For me, however, the sound of Rod and Diana harmonising beautifully on their surprise 2005 version is right up there with the very best. So, however devastating it feels to a young life, failed auditioning for school musicals doesn't stop world domination with feel-good music. Neither does adverse press about a singer's personal life detract from outstanding musical achievement. On the personal front, George Eliot once said that life seems to go on without effort when I am filled with music. Perhaps, for Diana Ross, day-to-day life can jar a little more when the music stops.